Hello and welcome. Robert from European Watch Company here. And today I wanted to talk about Breguet. Breguet is a brand that I feel is not on many people's radar at the moment, and I think that's a mistake. So if we go all the way back to talk about Abraham-Louis Breguet, we're talking about a watchmaker who was working in the late 1700s and the early 1800s, making watches by hand. This was pre all of the kind of mechanized, manufacturing processes that we have today. And he would take exceptional amounts of time to make these watches. His most famous creation being the watch he made for Marie Antoinette, which at the time had every complication that was known within the horological world. And I believe it took him close to 20 years to complete that watch. So, when our watches are delayed today or we have to wait 6 months for a service, it doesn't feel so bad. So Breguet back then, he was a true innovator and inventor, and he created a lot of the things that we now take for granted in the world of wristwatches. Obviously back then they were pocket watches, but things like the Breguet Overcoil, the Tourbillon, retrograde displays. He was the one who either invented these or patented them or actually executed them in the way that was really useful. Automatic winding as well, which we don't think about automatic winding mechanisms back then because we think of Rolex as being kind of the first brand to do that, but it was really Breguet. So we fast forward to today's era, and we have this brand that carries his name. And I think many people feel that there's kind of a tenuous connection there between, the man himself and the brand we have today. And I think ultimately when you have an industry that gets to be a couple hundred years old, you're going to wind up with that no matter what the brand is, whether it's Patek Philippe or Vacheron or whatever. It's going to evolve and morph. And obviously there's business considerations at play here too. So everybody knows that Breguet is owned by Swatch Group. And to me, that is not a slight to the brand. I feel like these moves that are made in the interest of business ultimately make the brand stronger. It makes them more stable. And that gives you greater confidence in buying the watch. You know that there will be somebody to support and service that watch well into the future. So I don't see the downside there. So when most people think about Breguet, they think of this. This is the Classique. You have a gold watch with a guilloche dial. You have the blued steel Breguet hands, which are one of the signature elements of this watch. You have Roman numerals, very classical style. You have the old school style round case with the straight lugs because, back then cases were made and then the lugs were attached after the fact. And you have the coin edge on the side. Those are probably the biggest hallmarks from Breguet. And I think if you're looking for this style of watch, they clearly are the way to go. The brand does have more breadth than that and more depth to them than that. They actually do some really beautiful work in enamel. They do these baked enamel dials with the beautiful Breguet numerals, which, are extremely popular, especially when you see them on things like Patek Philippe and things like that. And the Breguet enamel work is stunning, absolutely stunning. And I feel like at the current market here in 2022, these watches sell for below what they really should. There's a lot of value there. Then you get to things like the Breguet Tradition with its open worked dial. And a lot of people don't know, this actually is referencing a pocket watch that Breguet made back probably early 1800s, where you could see the escapement and you would see these bits going. So there is that connection to what he was doing back then to what he does now. And I think it's a beautiful juxtaposition of the old elements with the guilloche dial, Breguet hands, Roman numerals, and then that kind of hyper modernism where you have all the exposed workings there. And they did it in a couple different sizes, different complications, so really, really nice watches. And then they have forayed into the sports watch world, and I think you actually get some really interesting watches from them here as well. Obviously, not your typical steel sports watch. So here I've got a rose gold Breguet Marine, and this is the latest iteration of this watch. And I think in this current version, there's a lot of upgrades that I find really appealing. appealing. So you still get the coin edge on the side of the case. You still get a guilloche dial. But in this case, instead of your standard crosshatch or something like that, you're getting this beautiful wave texture, obviously referencing the fact that this is meant to be a marine style watch. You still get the Roman numerals. You get an interesting variation on the Breguet hands, though this time in gold to match the case. And I think if you're looking for something, you know, the idea of a gold sports watch obviously is quite well established. We have Patek Aquanauts in gold, we have the Rolex Yachtmaster in gold, we have Daytonas in gold on rubber straps. Like this AP gold rubber straps, this is now something that, you know, isn't that outside of the box. But for some reason, people don't look at this in the same way, and I think they really should. It's a good size, it's an interesting design, there's a lot of unique elements here, and you get a display back with a really nicely finished movement, which you don't always get, like on Rolex, obviously, you don't get that. So it's a brand that I feel like many people are sleeping on, and I think it's time to wake up and check out Breguet. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos. We do hope that you like and subscribe to the channel, as we will be continuing to create more content here. And as always, we are watching those comments. So please let us know what you think and let us know if there's anything else that you'd like to see. Thanks again for watching.